Welcome to this second module on incentives for active mobility and sustainable commuting. Building on the conceptual foundation provided by the previous module, within this one, we are going to showcase relevant examples throughout Europe. The list of examples I am going to provide here is not meant to be exhaustive, but rather to demonstrate practical approaches and real concrete cases in implementing the previously described conceptual framework. In fact, this example illustrates different means for incentivizing active mobility and sustainable commuting, especially in functional urban areas as those addressed by the Green Path project and related pilots. The examples and best practices we will present concern both active mobility and public transport. Moreover, relevant cross-cutting enablers are being addressed as well. These imply talking about gamification, award, and ICT tools, which serve as key leverages for behavioral change. These tools will be briefly recalled here for completeness, as they were thoroughly examined in Unit 2. Furthermore, it is important to note that these initiatives can be evaluated in terms of communication effectiveness, which plays a crucial supportive role and that will be described in the following module on promotional campaigns. Therefore, some of the initiatives presented here will be revisited in that context as well. Let's begin the sequence of examples with the well-established approaches to incentivizing public transport usage through fare reduction and discounted tickets. One option is to drastically reduce public transport fares or even implement a full-fledged free public transport policy. For instance, this approach has been tested in Luxembourg, where free public transport was introduced in 2020. A slightly different situation is represented by highly convenient travel passes allowing unlimited use of public transport across entire countries or regions. Examples include the German Deutschland ticket and the Austrian Klima ticket. Furthermore, it is important to note that these passes deliver best value for regular commuters rather than occasional users, which underscores why local authorities often complement them with targeted fare incentive for specific user groups. More in general, abstracting from specific measures, the generalized approach of substantial fare reductions presents well-known implementation challenges related to financial sustainability, contextual factors, and the need for complementary measures. Moreover, different countries are implementing commuting allowance programs where governments and businesses aim to incentivize sustainable transport through corporate mobility schemes as well. This includes solutions such as the job ticket for employees, as outlined in different cases, including the Green Path pilot areas of Berlin, Vienna, and Ravenna, and the semester ticket for students, as in the case of Berlin and Vienna. Now, moving beyond public transport, let's examine how active mobility and in particular cycling can be incentivized through dedicated programs. A first typology of measure is represented by promoting trial programs that invite residents and commuters to test the usage of e-bikes through hands-on experience. This approach is showcased by the Test Caravan itinerant campaign in West Flanders, Belgium. And this initiative brings e-bikes directly to local communities and companies, encouraging behavioral change and reducing car dependency through a 2-week testing period. Various other campaigns using a similar approach have been carried out across Europe. For instance, in the Brussels capital region, the Bike project targets companies with more than 100 employees and are required to have a company mobility plan. This company receives a fleet of test bikes for 2-3 weeks along with training, personalized itineraries, and awareness-raising workshops. Furthermore, similar approaches have been adopted when targeting a wider scope of users, not only commuters, as in the case of the Buy4Car campaign in Switzerland, which was carried out between 2010 and 2017, and offered a free 2-week e-bike trial in change for handing over the key cars of the users. Important lever to foster the usage of e-bikes in particular is providing economic incentives for their acquisition, This approach can be implemented as a follow-up to trial campaigns, as in the case of Bike for Car. Economic incentives play a pivotal role in lowering the financial barriers associated with purchasing bicycle and e-bikes, particularly given that upfront costs can be prohibitive for many households. One widespread approach involves employer-led schemes that enable employees to acquire bicycles through salary sacrifice arrangement with significant tax benefits for both employers and employees. Notable examples include the Netherlands FUAs plan, where the cost of the bike is deducted from the employee's gross salary. Similarly, the United Kingdom's Cycle to Work scheme allows employees of participating companies to save up to 42% of the cost of the new bike. In France, Forfait Mobilité Durable enables employers to provide employees with an annual tax-free allowance to cover expenses related to sustainable transport, including the purchases of bikes. Complementary to these employer-led initiatives, several countries also implement direct purchase subsidy programs, which we'll explore in the next slide. In fact, several countries also offer direct purchase subsidies at national, regional, or local level, targeting broader segments of the population. For instance, Italy previously offered a national scheme covering up to 60% of costs in cities with more than 50,000 inhabitants. Currently, different regional programs provide contribution of up to 50% of the cost, often targeted at specific income brackets. Some regions implement also additional provisions to maximize impact. For instance, in the case of Emilia-Romagna, additional bonuses are offered for scrapping, and priority is given to residents in specific areas. More generally, these incentives program, whether the employer-led or direct subsidies, share key features such as reducing upfront costs and can complement experiential testing initiatives. By lowering financial barriers, they reinforce behavioral changes initiated through practical trials and accelerate the transition toward sustainable urban mobility. Another effective approach to incentivize daily cycling for commuting is through mileage allowances, which provide employees with a direct financial reward based on the actual distance they cycle to work. This approach encourages regular bike commuting by directly linking the benefit to everyday behavior rather than a one-time purchase. For instance, in Belgium, the national initiative Vélo Travail offers employees a tax-free reimbursement with a minimum rate of 30 cents per kilometer, and employers can also provide higher allowances up to the maximum of 37 cents per kilometer and an annual cap of 3,700 for commuting trips by bicycle. Similarly, in France, the Indemnité Kilométrique Vélo is a tax-exempt mileage allowance paid by employers to employees who cycle all or part of their commute. The scheme is part of Forfait Mobilité Durable policy, which supports sustainable commuting by providing financial incentives. Application of mileage allowances is also provided at the regional or local level, as exemplified by various Italian examples. For instance, in Emilia-Romagna, the Bike to Work initiative, designed to promote cycling as a primary mode of commuting, offers a financial incentive of 20 cents per kilometer, up to a maximum value of 50 euros per month per person. The program targets municipalities with more than 30,000 residents, as in the case of Bologna, Modena, Parma, Ravenna, and Rimini. Other interesting examples are also provided at the local level, as in the case of Florence, Pedala Firenze Ti Premia initiative, which sees top performance earning additional bonuses, already demonstrating gamification elements through competitive rewards. And the Moved in Bici project in Bari offers similar incentives as well. It is worth noting that both national schemes and local ones present the fact that they rely on ICT-based tracking platform for verifying cycling distances and enable reimbursement. And the same digital tools provide the technical infrastructure for gamification approaches. As regards gamification and awards, different experiences showcase three key elements. First of all, mobile application and tracking platforms. Apps such as CycloGreen leverage gamification by tracking sustainable transport activities and rewarding users with points, rankings, and tangible incentives like gifts, discounts, or local business vouchers. These platforms include automatic mode detection, challenges, and leaderboard to foster ongoing engagement. Other point, competitions and awards. Initiatives like Cycling-Friendly Employer Certification in UK and Stadtradeln, a German national campaign, use structured contests to incentivize active mobility. Stadtradeln promotes cycling over 21 days with participants joining teams to log kilometers via app, competing for sponsored prizes while reducing CO2 emission. Community challenges and real-world rewards are the third point, represented by the MUV project, which showcase, for instance, in the case of Helsinki, the integration of gamification with urban mobility planning. Residents log sustainable trips to earn points exchangeable for real-world rewards, while city collected anonymized data for infrastructure development. Overall, these approaches demonstrate gamification's versatility across different scales and objectives. Having reached the end of this second module on incentives, let me briefly summarize both modules. Regarding the conceptual framework, the first module established the rationale for incentivizing sustainable mobility, highlighting how incentives can be classified according to their different nature, economic, behavioral, or social, and their targeting approach, ranging from general use policies to micro-incentives. The second module provided concrete examples demonstrating this framework in practice: public transport fare schemes, e-bike testing and purchase programs, mileage allowances, and gamification initiatives. Two main conclusions emerge. First, successful incentive programs require context-specific combination. There is no one-size-fits-for-all solution. Local authorities must tailor approaches to their specific territorial conditions and user segments. Second, complementarity and synergies from different tools are essential. Financial incentives work best when combined with awareness campaign, ICT tools, and gamification approaches, as well as business partnership and supporting infrastructure. Thank you for your attention. I wish you all the best for your journey exploring sustainable mobility.